Because there are lots of questions surrounding it. But then I thought, let's do it this way. And this is an optimal time for Salem and the Black Cat to cross our paths. I just love it. As he's just standing.
Seriously, dude.
I honestly think you should just leave that in, because it's just... I can't even think of another way to put, like...
I can join in.
What cats do to us, like, during our recordings. All I see is like his little eyes just...
It's literally all you can ever see. I'm almost tripping.
Do the dishes, I would stand in like a flamingo stance when I did the dishes. It was a running commentary in the family. So when we're doing the podcast, you see me move, I cannot sit still.
I have to see this flamingo stance from you sometime.
Okay. I'll just show you.
He's going to show us real quick, everybody. If you're watching on the video version, if you don't know about it, it's on YouTube. You can check out the video version of each podcast, and you can watch us. So in this show, you would have seen my cat messing around and causing problems.
So I have to pretend like I'm at like a counter or something, so I can stand right. So I would stand like this, and then just like wash dishes.
Man, that balance! Look at that.
Yeah. So my left leg is my balance leg, and that one does pretty good. When I have to balance on my right leg, it's not as graceful. But yeah, and I just did that in jeans that are not the most.
Yeah, not the most
stretched jeans.
Like flex.
Okay, here's our last couple DMs. I added you on Snapchat. I asked you if you had Snapchat or something, and you said, I have everything. Little did I know. And that was on November 20th of 2017.
Oh, 2017. Wow, that's old.
And then that was at 11:23 a.m. At 11:24 a.m. my time, you said, done, as in he added him. December 24th, 2019, I texted him a picture of Luna sleeping between us, looking pissed that I took the picture. The next one, it was January 1st, 2021, my time at 1:43 a.m., which would be just before midnight Cody's time. I don't know what the fleet was, but I said, sit on my face.
It was probably a New Year's Eve photo of sorts.
It was definitely, and I might not have been sober. Or, actually I probably was, because I...
Yeah, you would have been probably.
The best part, I think, when I see my text messages, because I think I in general, I text the way I talk, which means I tend to say do not instead of don't, or I don't just say sit on my face. It's like sit on my face. It's got a little proper. It's got like a proper ring to it. So sometimes I see the things I say and I'm like, I'm sorry everyone for how I exist.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Live with Cody and Matt. It is Friday, July 9th, 2021. We thank you for joining us for this episode. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Of course, we do this every Friday at 5 o'clock. And Matt, we have a guest watching us today, a special guest, Salem. So he's literally laying on the
Everything.
computer. I moved the keyboard finally. The keyboard's in my lap, but he's literally looking at the screen right now.
Look, if it makes him happy, we can live with it.
He's being so sweet. He's like, what's on TV? Okay, this is good. This is good. Well, how are you? We had the 4th of July on Sunday, and then we kind of took the week off, and here we are, Friday. Did y'all do anything crazy? Yeah. Yeah, okay. This is supposed to go in our like secret messages point, but I asked Matt what he was doing one day, and he just replied with a photo, and it was gay and tired. How are y'all? Gay and tired.
We got new socks. What can I say? And then there was a matching pair. Well, not matching, but a pair that came with it that was like, "Oh dear, I'm queer," but it was an actual deer. It was really funny.
That's so cute.
Wow, this light makes me look way more pale than like possible. And when you said we have a guest watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is your family watching? And you're like, that was like you low key warning me to like not be myself. You know, I mean, I would do that too. I wouldn't listen, but the sentiment would be nice.
Salem says, "Go for it. Anything you want to say, he's up for it." He's literally still watching. He loves watching TV. I don't know what it is. Ella could care less. He will just sit there
Simon
and
watched
watch.
Kung Fu Panda. He was obsessed with Kung Fu Panda and Kung Fu Panda 2. I don't know if it was like the animations or the sounds or like the specific colors, but all the movies I watched in the 10 years that I shared a house and life with him, whenever Kung Fu Panda or Kung Fu Panda 2 was on, which is one of my favorite movies, if he was in the room, he would just sit and watch it. It was actually really adorable. None of the Ava will sometimes watch TV. When we first got Ava, she was 6 months old, but she was a rescue literally off the streets and went straight into a shelter. So I don't think she knew what TV was. So the first night we had her and we turned on the TV, because we had her in the room that our loft is in, where we primarily sit and hang out, where David and I do, and we turned on the TV and she kind of like cowered to the floor. I'm like, oh god, turn the TV down, like she doesn't know what it is. And then she sat and watched, you know, the colors and the shapes moving across the screen. So it was like, oh, okay, hold on, let's lower the volume down. And we don't watch TV super loud anyway.
Yeah.
But still. So what's trying to think of? Oh, I started Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2 days ago. It was $35, so it was like half the cost of what it originally was. So we started that, and of course it's set. I almost said in Greek time. The game I played before was set in in ancient Greece, so I'm still mentally there. But obviously it's starting in Norway, and I've learned that even video game me does not like snow. Yeah, I learned that even in video games, I do not like the cold and I do not like the snow. And the first bit of the game, first couple hours, is set in Norway and in a winter. And I was like, I really hate this. So David is playing his own game, so you can play as a male or female.
Yeah.
And so he chose to play as male, I chose to play as female. And since this game are playing our own games, we've been able to see the differences, and which is always fun. And so he's ahead of me right now. So I saw that he went to basically sunnier lands. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, this looks a little more easy to traverse, because in the Norway portion that you're playing in, there's a lot of mountains. So you spend a lot of time climbing more so than exploring and finding things. So it's like frustrating. And the controls are a little cumbersome despite being a newer game. and it's more cumbersome to me than the prior Assassin's Creed. Of course, it could be my piss poor coordination, but
I know
oh,
we still need to get you on Twitch so that people can watch you
that's fun.
game.
Yes, that's true. Oh, I know what we're talking about. I sent you a picture the other day, but I got new glasses for the first time in like a decade.
You did?
Did you
I
like
thought they
them?
were cute. Yeah, I really like people with glasses. I
So
think
I sent
glasses
them to
makes
my
people.
niece, and this is great. So I don't like wearing glasses for very specific reasons. So my left ear is farther back and noticeably lower when I wear glasses. It's so bad that when I would take my glasses in periodically, they'd be like, "What have you done to them? I can tell you're putting them in your pocket." And this is before I ever did stuff like that, because they would be kind of like warped from
Mhm.
me adjusting them to my ears over 6 to 8 months at a time, and because I had the same glasses for a few years. I like the frame, so they would just replace my lenses every year. And yeah, and my one eyebrow sticks up higher, so it makes it look more severe than it is. So I sent them to my niece, and I said, "What do you think of these? I think these are the ones I'm gonna get. Be honest." And she is my biological niece, by the way. So this is like asking me a question. So I know what's coming. I'm like, she hates them. She's gonna say, she goes, "Those are really cute on you. I really like them. They look really good on your face." She's like, "But one question, are they crooked?" Because I didn't tell her about anything. I just said, and she goes, "Are they crooked? Because it's just kind of offsetting a little bit. But other than that, they look really cute on your face." And I was like, "No, it's just my face."
It's just how I am.
I'm sorry, they're not crooked. It's just my face.
I know. When I was younger, I always had to get mine adjusted, and then like when I took them off, though, they would look like they're like all bent up. But when they're
Yeah, when I
on,
set
they're
mine
like
on a
fine.
desk, they're like all twisted looking. I'm like,
Yes,
I'm
I guess my ears
sorry.
or something have grown and everything fits now, because I don't have to do that anymore. Thank goodness.
We
Because it
did the
really is a pain sometimes. Because then
Yeah.
certain
And I
glasses
always remember having
can
this little
work.
cut on the back of my left ear, like
Yes.
right, like in that little spot, and you forget about it until you start sweating or something, and then it's like, oh, what the hell is that? So we
Yeah.
did the Warby Parker thing. This is not an advertisement for Warby Parker. We just happen to be using them.
Y'all, he's over here, Warby Parker, and I'm over
Okay,
here,
well, if they
Zinni
want to
Optical, Zinni
sponsor us,
Optical.
yeah, if they want to sponsor us, by all means, that is something I totally support. The but so we did that. We did the contacts. David ordered the contacts through them for me, so I'm very excited to have kind of an update as nursing school is getting closer. And the rest of the time, it's been raining all week. And if you guys know, Keith is moving. He's going to be staying with us for a bit while we're in nursing school. While he's doing his own thing, so kind of like the universe lined up a little bit. And we're like, hey, well, since you're looking for a new house, why don't you come stay with us? We could use the help. You could use the help. And cheaper than him having to sign for an apartment, because there's literally nothing in San Antonio available right now. So he and his adorable cat named Kitty. He's
It's a
a
cute
beautiful tiger
cat. You
cat.
sent me a
He's so
photo.
cute. He's so cute. He used to be big boy like how Luna was, but he is shaved down a bit. So Keith and Kitty will be coming to stay with us for a bit, and so they've been moving in. Kitty is not here yet, but I think they'll be here permanently by the end of this coming week. So that's been our excitement.
Oh.
I'm in my room. My office is now in my room because my old office is our guest room. So that's pretty exciting. I'm excited. Keith is our only friend in San Antonio. So and he used to live 30 minutes away, so 30 minutes. So it's been nice. It'll be nice to be able to, and we all like to do our own things. We're all very independent people. So it's nice that we get to support and help each other, especially after being separated for a year and a half, because he had to have he had a minor surgery a few months before the pandemic, but it meant like he couldn't hug us because he couldn't have pressure on his stomach. And and Keith gives like the best hugs. He is like the best person ever. He's such a better person than me. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm not kidding. He's such a better
Maybe
person.
some of that'll rub off on you.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. But so that happened, and then pandemic happened, and then so we didn't get to see him. We had one socially distanced lunch in the entire time. It was several months after restaurants had opened. And so we sat far apart from each other and kind of like air hugged it. And it was nice to visually see each other. It's like, okay, it's almost like that kind of like a wellness check. It's like, okay, I see you in person. I can't hug you. Can't hang out at each other's houses, but I see that you're physically here. You are okay. You see that we're okay, and it was nice. And we did kind of like a buffet style lunch where we could, and it was a place that required masks and gloves to touch everything, and you had to get fresh gloves every time you touched something. So, which was nice. And it was a very not busy day. Um, and so, but it was our favorite Chinese restaurant. They have their buffet style, and the staff are just amazing. And I'm glad they survived the pandemic, or surviving the pandemic. People are pretty much ignoring it here. But that was the only time we got to see him until a few. Let's see. I think we saw him about a month after we were fully vaccinated. I think we saw him around my birthday, so end of May. David and I got our second shots at the end of April. So 2 weeks after we were considered fully vaccinated, Pfizer, by the way. And and so not having anybody for years essentially, and then the one friend we make we can't see for a year and a half. Like, yay!
Well, that's gonna be so nice.
Yeah, and it'll be good for Kitty I think he was somebody's pet, and then he was a stray / kind of feral, but he's really kind of just chose Keith. And so Keith has been transitioning him to mostly indoor kitty. He was more of an outdoor cat, and then he was kind of outdoor indoor. Then it was indoor outdoor, and now he's indoor. He had a scary accident last year. He had sent us a picture. It looked like maybe a hawk tried to snag him. He had a really ugly set of cuts on his back and his hind. It looked like the hawk tried to snatch him, and had some real deep wounds. And then they took him to the vet, and they almost lost him. Like the vet told him it was like, another day or so. This infection, he did actually have an infection, and and it wasn't their choice for him to be indoor outdoor. But you know how a stray cat can, a feral cat can be. You don't really know what they're gonna do, but after that, he started working to bring them more indoor. And then the neighbors' dogs kicked down their fence. It fell over during the storm, and their neighbors have 2 dogs that just are never inside. Yeah. So they ran through their yard, and Kitty didn't want any part of that. And then Keith was like, you know what? This is a really good opportunity for you to just not go outside anymore. And then, of course, being here, we definitely don't want him out because we do have stray dogs here and coyotes. So they have been spotted on our security cameras at night. Not ours, but the neighbors have posted on the Nextdoor app of them. So, it's a little disconcerting to see, but they will snatch a cat. They will, if they can get a hold of one. And we don't have as many places to hide anymore. They cleared the forest near us to build a neighborhood, which is rapidly going up. So, that's what's been going on here. So I guess a few exciting things.
Yeah, some changes and some fun things.
David had an interview today, so it was really exciting. The job market they're complaining about workers, but nobody wants to hire anybody, and they want to have 5 million years of experience. I looked at a job the other day. They wanted a bachelor's degree and 5 years of experience to pay $12 to $14 an hour. Go fuck yourselves. Absolutely go fuck yourselves. There is not a labor shortage. There is a wage shortage. But, maybe we're all tired. Everybody shits on sex work, but I would much rather fuck somebody and get paid for it than have my body sold to a corporation in order to have insurance that you don't even let me use half the time, for PTO rest days that I don't get to use most of the time. So you're raised your whole life to think that your body is either your partner's, your job's, or somebody else's. And then when you break that cycle, or, do what kind of we're doing, trying to find our own ways of not having 9 to 5 traditional jobs, when you accomplish it, it's like, oh my gosh, that must be so nice. You're so lucky. But when you first start wanting to do it, it's very much, wow, you're crazy. Have you even thought about it? Do you know how much things cost? It's that conditioning just really pops back out. But yeah, so in the meantime, Keith will be here, which will be great because we can support each other. And nursing school is 2 years, whether I like it or not. There is no shortening it, extending it. There's no working through next summer. It's just what it is. So I'm like, yay. And the job David had an interview for today, they told him they would tell him Monday or Tuesday. They specifically said they like to move through the interview process quickly. It's like, thank God, because several other interviews he had has heard nothing for weeks, and there's nobody to call. Like the old school thing of call and follow up and let them know you're interested. These are emails they use that do not have reply options. And if you annoy them, they'll be like, oh, we don't want this person. They're annoying. Like, this is not 1982. Yeah.
It's totally different. Totally
the idea
different
of getting
type
hired
of
in the same day is almost unheard of. I've had it happen once in the last 10 years. And that was for State Farm.
Yeah, I saw
interviews for State Farm.
I saw on Twitter the other day, this girl, she was trying to get a job. She got the job, and she said, okay, I won't be able to start until like 2 weeks from now or something. And then a little bit later, they responded back, okay, we're going to rescind this. We need someone now. And so then she lost her opportunity.
Right. And it's bullshit. It's like, I've been waiting months for a job. You're telling me after offering, it's like, hey, it's just, that's the problem. You're expected to be at their beck and call. Oh, well, it's a company. They're an entity. Yeah, you know what? Entities are run by people. The world's a hard place. No, fuck that. The world is dirt and water. People make it hard because they can. That is it. That's it. That's the sole, thing behind it. And it's just gross to me that we have to abide by that. And then when you call it out or say something about it, it's somehow like crazy. Like, really? It's not crazy, but being a stupid millennial and all. My sister was raging about them, going on about millennials this and millennials that. I'm like, we're like 40, right? She says, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm not even considered an older millennial at 35, but the oldest millennials are like 41 now. And I said, those 22-year-olds you're complaining about, just because they don't have 3 kids at their age like you did, doesn't make you any more intelligent than them. Like, FYI, having 3 kids by 23 to 26 means that you're a parent. It does not mean you magically know anything. And I don't understand how people get that in their heads, because you remember being 10 and 12 and asking your parents questions, and they're like, well, I don't know. Like they have to go look it up, or they just lie to you, whichever. I don't know, depending on your parents' parenting style. But when you turned 18 or 20, you didn't magically know how to do your taxes or buy a car or pick out a laptop unless you knew what you were doing or looking for. You learn those things. So fucking a kid into existence doesn't grant you some knowledge other than that you're very aware it's going to hurt. And most guys know literally nothing about what their wife is or girlfriend or the person they're with's body is doing. They literally know nothing. Like that's the only thing I have observed, is that we literally know nothing, and that's okay. But rather than just admit it and say, hey, let's change this, here we are. Like the fact that it's revolutionary that, it's like, oh, fuck this. I hate this career. Let's change this at 35 is considered like, wow. Like,
I mean, these days, I saw an article that they said you should expect, or they're like, it's telling you that a person should these days have like 8 jobs or something within a certain period of time. And it's just that you should do that. It's good for you as a person to go through different careers.
And also jobs go away, careers go away. I loved my job at State Farm, but they revamped how they wanted to do things to a very unethical way, and not beneficial to their workforce at all, and not beneficial to their customers. And it made the job 10 times harder and more impossible to do, that it wasn't worth the money, because all you're going to do is get screamed at anyway. So you're either going to walk out screaming, or get screamed at till you quit, or just get fired, or they just beat you with metrics and give as a reason to not really give bonuses except to like the top. There's always going to be people who rise to that occasion to bust their ass to hit every metric possible. But I just refuse. My lifelong accomplishment will not be getting great raises and green lights across my metrics for the rest of my life, because when I keel over at my desk from a heart attack, they're going to post my job rec the next week, and that's it. Congratulations. And then the training class after that, they'll be like, oh, you're replacing some guy named Matt. And someone will recommend, oh, man, Matt was really nice. And they're like, who? I'm like, never mind.
Who? Yeah, well, y'all, when I replace Matt soon.
Right. When he trades me in for a younger model.
Um, well, yeah, craziness in the whole job world these days. Um, you see, I've seen a lot of people, post pictures from different restaurants or different signs and different things. I think also it's a whole thing. People can work from anywhere, so people have gotten other jobs too that can be work from anywhere, and so
Right.
that's when you're seeing a lot of
Who
people
want?
have
I don't
moved
understand how
different
people can be
locations.
such assholes to fast food workers, and a lot of these people have kids that work in food, and their kid comes home, and we just accept that it's okay to scream at a 15-year-old over a credit card. Hi, Keith. I was just talking about you.
I know.
Um,
That's going to be exciting. Though all your changes happening, and then Keith is there.
yeah, Keith will be here.
We were talking about your cat earlier.
We were talking about Kitty. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Kitty to come join us. It's gonna be a little bit of an adjustment for the babies, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
So for me this week, it was pretty much. I was telling Matt earlier, in the week when it was 4th of July, we did fireworks. And then later through this week, we've done painting the bedroom. We're almost done. We were just actually, before this, I was painting some things and finishing that up right now. They're finishing it up. So the bedroom will be done. We're still waiting on the bed, Matt. The bed is still not here. The mattress from Purple, but hopefully it'll be here in the next week or two. They said 3 to 4 weeks before it's delivered, and I think they're going to be on the tail end of the farthest possible window. So I guess that is what it is. But I can't wait. I can't wait to lay on it. But so we come to the point where we've already talked about Matt's socks in our messages, but we want to show you some other messages that we share between each other. And so some of those have been all basically from me. I was sending Matt like so many photos this week. Basically on Sunday, 4th of July, I was just like sending him nonstop photos. And so we started the day, and I was sending Matt food
I've been saving some
photos.
stuff for you that I was gonna send to you. I was just sitting.
And so this was our dinner lunch thing. Then I was telling Matt. Oh, first of all, I guess I did take this photo. We were out at the waiting for fireworks in my little Meowica shirt. The fireworks were so beautiful. This was some of them actually. It's so beautiful when they shoot them across the bay. Supposedly it's the most sophisticated firework display in America because it's done over like 15 miles, different barges that they have set up. So that was a lot of fun to do. But before we were like walking around, and in the area where they shoot fireworks off, there's a lot of boating and yachting and everything that is set up there. And I was like, oh, hey, we need a yacht. So this was us talking about that we need a yacht.
Oh
and our
yeah, it's
2022
ridiculous.
budget.
I showed it to David. I was like, "Oh, there's one for sale right in San Diego. It's only $4 million, built in 1994. Season 3, y'all just wait. Come on, Warby Parker sponsorships."
Yeah, guys, $4 million. That was the cheapest one, and again, it's like old.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
but it was
beautiful. And then I sent Matt later that we had gotten a message about the ComaCast and its rankings, and that we were ranked number 19 in the news commentary section in Iceland and number 80 in news in New Zealand. So basically, we're going international, more popular with New Zealand and Iceland. So
yeah, that kind of surprised me. I sent that to David. I was in a bathtub. I sent that to him, and he's like, is this real?" Like, yeah.
So we're gonna have to get more Iceland news and New Zealand news, I guess, because
yeah, I really appreciate everybody.
Before we move further into talking about Olympics, because there's a lot happening, we do want to remind everyone about something very special, and that everyone needs to do is they need to go buy Matt's book.
And leave a review. Please.
We have two. There's two
Yes.
reviews, Matt, and you still have
Yes,
5
Austin left
stars.
me one.
You still have
Austin
5
finished
stars.
my book the other day, and he wrote it.
He says, a fantastic book that has more to it than meets the eye. Smart and adventurous. Can't wait for the rest of the books. Well, I'm glad that Austin gave you a 5-star rating.
Me too. Cody, I look forward to your review as well. Are you almost?
I know it's coming. I'm almost done. I have everything. I didn't get anything done this week. I didn't get any videos done. So I had no new videos to post for cocktails or chickens or anything. And then we've been painting. And then I've literally done nothing this week. I have to post things about my glasses. I'm just behind on literally everything. But next week, I'm going to catch up on everything. And then I don't want to say next week, but either next week or the next week, there'll be the video review. We'll play it here for everybody, but I'll be talking about Matt's book. But if you haven't gotten the book, go get it on Amazon. And then if you have read it, leave a review.
Leave a review.
Leave a review for
it's
Matt.
The only way. So I'm contracted to Amazon for another 60 days or so. So I cannot go anywhere else. I cannot distribute it anywhere else. And the only thing that gets it shown to other people is reviews. I can't do anything. I can't. It's kind of all I can do. So
it's kind of.
Don't leave a review if you did not buy it, because I don't. I want authentic reviews, please, because that will get me in trouble with Amazon. So
it's kind of like our podcast.
Yes,
leave a review for the podcast, because that helps the algorithms and people get to see it. If so many people start leaving things. Keith is actually saying, I'll be the captain of the yacht and commandeer a pedal boat many
That's
times.
Fine. I don't want to captain it. I just want to stroll around with a nice coffee.
Yeah.
To be comfortable.
Yeah. When you looked at the photos, I should have gotten the video down. It's so posh inside. I mean, this is 90s,
Ridiculous.
So that's the style inside. So newer ones are, more modern, but still it's like, okay, I can get used to this. I could do this.
Yeah. I was like, who lives this life? What are we doing?
I know that's what Matt said. Who lives this life? Like what would your life be like? You just okay, I'm going to go head out to my yacht.
If that were to ever happen to me now, I'd probably be way more balanced, because I know what the hell life is really like. So I would be in a position to help people in a helpful way, not just toss money at some foundation that I don't even know where the money goes, because that's just not how I would help. I would help more directly, like investing in my own community, or at least even anonymously, because I wouldn't want people to know. I do not thrive on applause or thank yous and stuff like that. In fact, I'd rather just be left alone.
Everyone give me all the attention.
Yeah, Cody, you're like my polar opposite with this.
I thrive.
You're like Tinkerbell. Do you thrive on applause?
Just give me all the attention, all the applause, everything. It'll be okay. Some people that are going to be getting
down and shake you. Will you shower me with fairy dust and I can fly?
Yes, exactly. That's what happens.
I'm gonna I have really some interesting ideas for Halloween, for ComaCast Halloween costumes.
I know we'll have to do something, because every talk show, if you watch talk shows, morning shows,
they always do something.
They always dress up. There's always a theme. We'll have to do something fun. We didn't do it last year.
Williams and be like a fainting Wendy Williams.
Okay, this is not scheduled in this, but did you see the latest thing about Wendy Williams?
Okay, I did scroll by something, but I didn't have time, because I found I was reading the Olympic thing via Oksana Chusovitina that I wanted to send you, so I chose that instead of the Wendy Williams thing. So
okay, brief thing. So she's showing this photo of this guy, and it's a rapper. I don't remember his name, but she says his name, and they're kind of talking about how popular he is, and she asks the audience, do y'all know who he is? And they're kind of like, no, and laughing. And then they talk about how many Instagram followers he has, or how many TikTok followers he has. And they're like, one of the producers, I guess, it goes to him, and he's like, yeah, he has more than you. And she's like, yeah, And then another producer's like, yeah, but you have more Instagram followers than he does. And then she's like, yeah, but my son said Instagram is not the thing these days. It's TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. And then they kind of like, and then they go back to her and the guy's on the screen behind her. And she's like, so this is so-and-so. He was murdered on Thursday. I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's like, what?
What?
They're like, her and her producers are going back and forth about who has the most Instagram followers, and he does, and she doesn't.
So
Haha,
the
do y'all
guy
know
they
who
were
he
talking
is?
about was the guy that had been murdered on that. What the fuck is wrong with her?
I
Oh my
mean,
god.
here's the
That
deal.
is-
No surprise,
that's
it's Wendy
creepy as fuck.
Williams. That is Wendy Williams. I mean, so if you don't know who, haven't watched her show before, you're gonna be like, what? If you watched her show before, you're like, just another Friday. Um, but moving on to some exciting news is the Olympics. They're approaching very quickly, and one of the sad things, but necessary things, is that Japan is going to be banning all the spectators from the Olympics there in Tokyo. They had at one point said there was going to be about 50% of people in Japan could come see the Olympics and could be spectators. No international spectators are going to be allowed, but now Japan is being put in a lockdown and higher level of emergency for COVID. And so they've banned now all of the spectators because of this rising numbers. And then they're trying to get enough people inoculated and everything like that. It does present some challenge for the games for multiple reasons. But if you look at Olympics are expensive to put on. And they've already had to delay them. So that has spent a lot of money. The budget has jumped to an estimated $15.4 billion already. They were expecting about $815 million for revenue from ticket sales, and that's really low because normally it's about $1.5 billion if you sell full numbers. So you make that much money in ticket sales, but that's going to be basically zero now because of that. So, like, this Olympics is going to cost a lot of money. This is why a lot of cities actually do not choose to participate in Olympics because they're very, very expensive. And you've seen a lot of cities now that have previously presented the Olympics coming back and do it again because they have like some of the facilities necessary to do that. Same thing like how LA is doing it. They have a lot of existing facilities that they're going to be using. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting thing. I think it's going to be interesting also from a standpoint of like viewership and viewing the Olympics, because we've seen it here in the United States initially when sports teams started going again, but there was no audience and it was a little weird. And then they started doing fake
that was
applause weird and added that in. And then they were doing audience that was superimposed CG audience. It'll be interesting to see what NBC does. Viewership of sports actually goes down when there's no spectators. So it'll be interesting to see, just because also money again, but NBC spent billions of dollars for the Olympics. And so, they want to get their money's worth as well. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they produce it. Like from a TV standpoint, since that was my background, it's interesting. Like, what do you do here? What do you do here? How can you work it so it doesn't seem awkward or weird? There's certain sports that like need that audience. Like gymnastics can kind of do without it because the way you can shoot it. But like some of your like track and field, a lot of times it somewhat depends on some of that audience reaction or that noise. I think they will pump in some fake noise just because otherwise it's just like really quiet and a little like awkward. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Another thing, Matt, I wanted to get your thoughts on was we were speaking about COVID, and they are obviously limiting spectators, but U.S. swimmer Michael Andrew is the biggest Olympic name to reveal that he has not received his COVID vaccine.
Is he a minor or an adult?
He's an adult. He can have the vaccine.
I don't want to police people, but at the same time, are you kidding me? But I don't really want to
his reasoning, he says, is he is in fit physical condition and he didn't want to put anything into his body that might
Oh,
hamper
shut the
that.
fuck up, bro.
And I'm like, girl, like, okay, because catching COVID is going to be better.
There has been plenty of fit people who have been felled by COVID. You know, there have been plenty of people my age that were very healthy and fit, and way more fit than I've ever dreamed of being, that died or nearly died of it. In fact, one was a nurse. You know?
Yeah.
Stupid. That's just fucking stupid. But again, that's that. I mean, I guess there's not really much to say. That's just fucking stupid. But it's frustrating because it's their choice. But people do these things without the whole thing about like, oh well, it's my body, my choice. Oh, now you understand it. Okay, but with no regard to elderly people and or anybody else, and being a fit teenager or early 20s does not mean it's that whole fucking mentality the older generation complained to us about, that, you know, when they were our age and vice versa, that you're not invincible just because you're young. You know, have you never gotten a stomach virus? I mean, you feel super strong and powerful until that first gurgle hits you, and then you're literally losing your guts from both ends, and you can't walk for 3 days because you're so dehydrated. So tell me how strong you are then.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a little upset. I don't know the things behind it because the CDC and FDA and everything hasn't approved the vaccine. It's still emergency authorization. But, if I was the U.S. Olympic Committee, I'd be like, well, if you're going to be on the team, you have to be vaccinated unless there is actually a medical reason, because it puts a lot of people in danger because we do have this variant and there are breakthrough cases with the vaccine.
Different country. It's literally a melting pot of different countries all showing up together.
Yeah. It's just like, I think it's irresponsible.
Stupid. And if you're not comfortable with it, then don't go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Sports glory, like, is not worth spreading variants and making other people sick when you can just take a damn shot.
Well, and I think his excuse does not actually hold up to science. So there's that.
But most people don't. But these are the same people. And people say, well, people aren't dropping dead in the streets. Okay, when the Spanish flu happened and in plagues and time of... people still did this shit. Our response has not changed in human history. Not ever. The only thing that's changed is sitting here looking back going, wow, I can't believe people did that. And then it happens to us because our generation has now lived through God knows how many once-in-a-lifetime events in the last, 10 years. You know, all those once in a millennium events that all seem to have happened since 2005.
Well, and the thing is, there actually are people dropping dead in many hot spots throughout the United States right now. So,
dead, but because it's like, well, and then they move the goalpost to, well, it's not likely to happen to me. Well, okay, that's possibly true. Just because you won't die, you could actually pass it on to somebody who will. But I remember there was, I think it was in Louisiana, a woman, a family of COVID deniers. She caught COVID and her kidneys basically shut down. She went septic and died. She was she was like 33. She was a mom of 2. Do I agree with her politics and the way she handled things? Absolutely not. I think that's incredibly selfish and stupid. However, did a 33-year-old wife and mom and person who had her own life deserve to die? No. Her kids will now grow up without a mom. There is not a chance for them to learn and say, oh wow, that was a really close call, mom. Next time you get the damn vaccine. No, there is no second chance for her.
Yeah.
The learning in that is that her children will have to learn. There's an article, I almost sent it to you, but I didn't know we were going to talk about this today. It was a nurse in West Virginia, her and a group of nurses, talking about how their community is so resistant to getting the shot. And they even had a lady almost died, and her daughter was like, still not persuaded. She was, it's a miracle she survived, and I really rally the prayer warriors. And I'm like, oh my God.
God. It's just, Keith says,
Well, did all of these people really die of COVID? Okay, the tallies of people the average amount of people that die every year, it's a rolling number of, what it is. We are hundreds of thousands over that number. Okay, so say they died of fucking chickenpox. Say they died of the flu. Say they didn't actually die of COVID. They still died. All these people are still dead. They didn't die in car accidents because ain't nobody been really driving their car. So car accidents are way down. Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
Stop being stupid and deliberately obtuse. But they're not
Yeah.
going to, because everything that happens is like self-fulfilling prophecy for them. So, you know what? Drop dead. That's fine. But what's sad is the people that can't be vaccinated don't have access to vaccination, which is largely underserved areas. And, I'm really sorry. These are the times when we have to face our frustrations, our anxieties, our privileges, and say, okay, this has happened, but I need to do this to do my part to help others, and then do my best to educate others and say, encourage them. I mean, nobody wants to do that. It's not comfortable, but neither is somebody dying in the hospital or at home, not realizing how sick they are, or being intubated and dying and just fading away, and their family can't be near them. Or worse, they can be near them and they just watch them die and there's nothing they can do about it. Like, it's completely fucked up, and it's not fair. And there's going to be a lot of people in therapy for many years. And in the coming years, when the PTSD sets in and the realities, as we go back to a normal, or whatever our future normal is, as we go back to that and people start settling into that and going, wow, this relative, this person, that person, this, or people that are still suffering long haul effects are not getting better, and they won't get better, or they may not get better for a very long time. And really, like, that's awful, and it isn't fair. I will agree with that. It's completely unfair. But our country, which prides itself on individualism, which I think is a beautiful thing, at the same time, we still have to understand that we cannot survive comfortably or safely without working together as a community, because our population just can't sustain that. Like, if a disease tears through us, a disease does not give a fuck what your religion is. It does not give a shit what you voted for or who you voted for. You can still get sick and die. Now, of course, why are politicians and all these other people that haven't died of it? Well, reps have died at the state level, several actually, and yeah. But you know why many of the others haven't died? Because they have incredible medical care. They have access to,
and they've gotten the vaccine
that we do not have. Greg Abbott totally was first in line. My governor was first in line here to get the vaccine. That freaking asshole has done nothing to help us.
Yeah, that's the thing. They all have gotten vaccine. Like Keith says, I'll be politically.
Everyone else. So if you don't care about yourself, care for others. McConnell recently stated he is perplexed about the whole resistance to getting a vaccine. Well, when your biggest sellers of your propaganda are places like Fox and, the guy that looks perpetually confused, or like his Botox appointment went way too long. Sorry, Tucker Carlson. All these people peddle this shit. They're not even news people. They're talking heads. Their lawsuits say, oh, they're not peddling news. How could you believe it anyway? It's just meant to be conversation for views. That's literally what their defense and their lawsuits say. So when you get away with that, and the people listening don't really know that or really believe it, they believe these conspiracy theories. They believe all these things. So when all of those people are promoting your crap, of course, yeah, damn well every one of those people, whether they were wearing a mask or not, have the vaccine. Though it does seem like MGT, Gates, and all of those, maybe the really crazy ones, maybe don't. I would, if there were ones that I had to choose that say maybe they didn't, it might be those fringe ones. But I largely believe that many of the reps actually fall pretty center and only do it to rally up the loudest of their constituents.
Yeah, it's always about,
it's always about attention. Like the whole thing about how did Biden get all these votes because, he couldn't fill a stadium. Yeah, because I don't need to applaud somebody. I just need to do the damn job. I don't want to have a beer with my rep. I wanted to go fucking take care of people.
Well, it's just like It's just like the whole
You know?
thing. The conversations you see on Twitter is not representative of the reality
It's
in the
not
world.
real.
But we'll see. He's the
Yeah.
first one that has come out saying he has not got the vaccine. I'm sure we'll hear some more things as the Olympics get very closer. It happens here at the end of July. An update on one of those things in July with one of the Olympians. She will not be going. We talked about last week. There was a chance that she might go for the one of the races. But U.S. sprinter Sherry Kari Richardson is not going to compete in the Tokyo Olympics because of that positive cannabis test that happened. Obviously, the rules should change on that, and we'll see where that goes in the future. It should be be looked at
I agree.
on eliminating that. But if you look at it, she did break the rule. There is a rule there,
Right. And
it kind of comes down to that.
She took the 30-day suspension, and she said she was pretty much like, yeah, whatever, okay, okay. But so it was the 100 that she wasn't going to be allowed to run because it fell, I believe, within that 30 days, and it was only a 30-day suspension. And this would have happened any other time that she tested positive, but it was the relay that she could have been allowed to run still, and she wasn't chosen to run despite being like literally one of the fastest people in the world, and I think she is the fastest person in the country right now. So they didn't pick her, and that I don't understand why. Okay, she broke the rules. The current rules are stupid, and they need changed because if weed is a performance enhancing drug, then my high school should have been like track star. Like the whole school should have been a walking track star. My high school is located behind the hospital. Like I
That
went
it
to high
makes me
school with a bunch of really wealthy doctors' kids who were literally stoned all the time.
I become like the Flash Matt.
Is that so?
It's like, yeah, it's
Because
just
I have definitely recorded with you, and you definitely are not.
it just does not make sense.
Yeah, the whole thing. It's not a performance enhancing drug. But okay, yes, that rule should be changed. But if we're looking at the right here and now, all right, the rule says this, and she took the 30-day suspension. Yeah, okay, bullshit rule. She took it. But why didn't they choose it for the 400-meter relay? Now, she did catch a lot of flack for her pretty homophobic stances against Lil Nas X, and I think they're pretty homophobic. But you know what? I think that's a garbage can opinion. But the garbage can is the fastest one in the country. Why wouldn't you want her to run the 400-meter relay? And I'd like to point out, you can criticize one stance and also applaud another. Like,
yeah,
she's a whole person, and I think, and that's just a tweet.
I wonder if
don't dig up shit from 12 years ago. Okay, this was a few months ago. Like, this is recent. But speaking just to the positive drug test, absolutely stupid that she is not able to run the 400-meter relay. I think that is absolutely crazy. Like,
I wonder if it was fellow teammates who played a role in her not getting that. If they just didn't want her on the team for some reason. Well, I guess we'll see if anything else comes out about that. But yeah, that is an interesting point to look at, that she was eligible for that and then ultimately was not chosen.
Right. I would like to know. I wonder if we'll hear more about it once the Olympics are over, and there's a little more freedom to kind of talk about it.
And they some of her teammates may speak about it when that race is up.
Right.
This one is crazy, Matt. I did not know about it. Matt sent it to me because I guess it just recently happened and I had not paid attention. But I remember her because we both know, me and Matt love Olympics, and we're going back all the way to 1992. I remember the 88 Olympics. That's the first Olympics I remember. But 92 was the one that I really, really remember in Barcelona.
The first one I watched was 92.
But there she is in Barcelona. This is Oksana Chusovitina. She's going to be going back to Tokyo. She's going to go to Tokyo for the Olympics. It's her eighth Olympics.
Eighth Olympics. So we referenced her a few weeks ago when we were talking about longstanding. It's very unusual, especially for female Olympians, to have more than one, maybe two. There are a few that have participated in three. Most, the ones that participated two, went back for a third and either just didn't make it, or were just done. But there are several two-time Olympians, because the rule used to be as long as you turn 14 within the Olympic year. So, but in the late 90s or 2000s, that changed to 15, and then it changed to 16.
Even though
So,
China brings in like 8-year-olds.
well, so in the 2000 Olympics, the team actually, the American women scored fourth, and then 10 years later, the charges were proven, and the Chinese Olympians female team were stripped of their bronze medal or stripped of theirs. Everybody moved up, and the American team was awarded the bronze medal 10 years later. The amount of endorsements and job opportunities they probably lost because of that is crazy.
But
But yeah,
Oksana, 46.
but she did say this is going to be her last Olympics.
She's 46, everybody. Like, what?
Right. I think at this point it says she's pretty much a vault specialist. But yeah. But how crazy is that? 8 times, and she was
Yeah.
saying age is just a number, and you can do this. You can be a mom. You can be a wife. She has a child.
She says,
and
I
these
only.
are 8 consecutive Olympics.
Yeah, she says, I only got better like fine wine.
Good for her.
She did
But she does like
participate. Yeah, she did participate in the former Soviet Union, the unified team. Then in Germany, her native country of Uzbekistan, of which she last represented, or she will represent this summer. So she's played for multiple teams. I do have issues with this at times about some Olympians going for different countries when many of them train in America. But we'll talk about that on an Olympic special.
Ooh,
because I do
attack some heat there.
I do. Well, I'm working on a little thing talking about one of the Olympic training centers.
I'm a little open on that only because literally our country is so massive. I mean, we have so much more opportunity here to have more people. We have just more talent to draw from. And also, I mean, let's not pretend that we did this ourselves. If it wasn't for the Cariolis coming here and bringing that kind of like that discipline, that kind of whipped everybody into a shape. But I would say the biggest thing they did was teaching everybody to focus on the team, which generated strong individual performances because, a team is only as strong as its weakest link. And I mean, the one thing about the Cariolis is anybody that broke, a link that broke just got replaced because they had, much like a shark's mouth, if when a shark loses a tooth, another one just stands up in its place. I would describe the American women team very much like that in like the best possible way because injuries aside, another outstanding gymnast was ready, was right there. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
These women are so talented and they're so and they're such a there isn't like, oh yes, okay, right now like there's Simone Biles and she is like, okay, there's Simone Biles, but when we get out of the stratosphere and down to the regular atmosphere, there are still just many times I think probably easily put together 2.5 teams of high scoring, fairly well-rounded people who are highly trained, have competed internationally, have a lot of experience, and still have room for really well-trained gymnasts looking, trying to get that international experience. And then behind that, superb college and NCAA gymnasts who just decided they didn't want to go that far, which is crazy. So I think when you have Olympians or, possible Olympians that represent other countries that trained here, I'm a little open-minded on it only because we have so much to draw from.
I mean, I guess, but
I don't have because I think the Olympics is, yes, it's sharing about what the best your country can produce, but what you learn somewhere, you can go somewhere else and share that. You can share a work ethic, talent, style, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Yes, when you come right down to just winning medals, fuck everybody. Nope. But to me, when you have a chance at the Olympics, yes, you have a chance to show this is what I learned for my country and this is who I'm representing. And yeah, so if I grew up here, trained here entirely, and then went and represented a smaller country that maybe didn't have as much talent, yeah, that's not necessarily a representation of that country. But when you bring that glory for them, I think it's a very beautiful thing to share that with someone that may not have had a chance at it because it might generate funding, attention, things that it might bring things to them that they didn't have. And it might give hope to somebody there that maybe wouldn't have had a chance at, that would never have imagined wearing their country's uniform on a stage and competing at a level that you're actually considered competition. Like you said a few weeks ago, I think it was a few weeks ago, when you're like, up until I think the 80s and 90s, when they're like, oh, the Americans are coming, like, and these were still highly trained gymnasts that put in a lot of hours. They might not have scored well compared around the world, but they still put in backbreaking amounts of hours, spent large amounts of time away from their families in pursuit of a dream that, just getting to the Olympics and still not qualifying to even make the top 10 or 12 teams to even perform for the world to see. So, and if you're going to represent one of those small countries, likely you're not going to make it to that top 12-ish qualifier anyway, but you still get to go and do something that wouldn't have happened anyway. Because if, like when your competition are, Simone Biles, Shawn Johnson, Chelsea Memel, who just popped back out on the stage after 9 years, why not go share that glory with someone else? I think that's, I personally think, in the spirit of the Olympics, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Y'all,
Personally.
all this heartfeltness coming from Matt.
And you're just
I'm like, no!
Isn't it shocking? I'm pretty detached most of the time. Usually when Cody's like, I just have this problem, like, have you thought about killing them?
We'll talk more about Olympics coming up. I think the Olympics now is like 2 weeks or so. I feel like we'll have to do like a special episode beforehand, and then during the Olympics we'll do a few things.
I would love that. It would be really
exciting.
Amazing, because I have school coming up. I have the time now if we plan. So I totally think I know what to do. Let's get a lot of food and sit here and watch the Olympics, because nothing would make me feel stronger than after one of my gym sessions when I'm super hungry than to sit and eat like 2 or 3 orders from McDonald's and be like, man, Cody, did you see that connection?
And then a dozen donuts.
Yes. Straight to my ass.
So we previously talked about it a minute ago real quick, but we did want to mention some things that happened with far as the Pfizer vaccine. Matt talked about how he was a Pfizer king over there. And so the drug maker Pfizer, in concerning with the COVID vaccine, said that they are seeing waning immunity from its vaccine. They're picking up efforts to develop a third booster shot that will maybe work with variants.
What the immunity is, because this is not clickbait.
Yeah, the company specified that they would seek FDA emergency authorization in August. This is an unusual move, but both the top federal agencies said Americans do not need a booster shot yet, and said it is not up to companies alone to decide when they might be needed. While protection against severe disease remained high across the full 6 months, a decline in efficacy against symptomatic disease over time and the continued emergence of variants are expected. So Pfizer even said that as far as severe disease, it's really not happening yet. There is, they've been saying this from the beginning that there might need to be a third booster shot. And I think we mentioned it last week, but there is different opinions and different thoughts coming out that saying that over time it actually gets stronger and works against variants. We're obviously getting real world data as far as Israel, because Israel pretty much vaccinated the majority of their people and with the Pfizer vaccine. So it's good for me and you because we have the Pfizer vaccine. So we do have some guinea pigs.
Well, and the waning immunity was a 3% difference. I think it was The Hill that released it. And it's such a bullshit clickbait. This was something I railed against when Cody and I started branching more into doing news, which I thought was a good idea because Cody's background obviously lends itself to this format so well. I, however, was like, hold that thought. Because 3% is and isn't a lot, and I don't want to hear shit from the people who are like, 3%, that's so much. Bitch, you just were willing to sacrifice 1% of our entire population to die. Do you know what 1% of 300 plus million people is? That's a lot of people who also maybe didn't want to die. But it's okay. Let's call them heroes because, everybody calls people heroes right before they're willing to sacrifice them.
The big issue, I think, for a booster shot is going to be those variants. The variants are spreading because the majority of the world is not fully vaccinated. And in America, it's spreading because people aren't vaccinated. So freaking get your vaccine. because it's going to keep happening if you don't get your vaccine. Oh my
But
God.
there is some really good vaccine news. I'm super
Yes.
excited because I've been hunting this one for a while. Cody and I've talked about it, and I think we should do a more special episode on it because we've had a lot of attention to it. So I think we will. And actually, I have an episode that's I'm planning 2 episodes that I'm going to talk to Cody about after we're done here that he doesn't know is coming, but I'm not going to say it on camera because I care. So Oxford researchers have launched an HIV vaccine trial. So an effective HIV vaccine has been elusive for 40 years, but this trial is the first in a series of evaluations of a novel vaccine strategy in both HIV negative individual for prevention and in prevention, sorry, not pretension, wow, in prevention and in people living with HIV for a cure. This is huge. These are actual human trials, and I think it's entering its second phase, I wanted to say. I'm always hesitant to share too much because one, I don't want to misinterpret it myself, and two, I don't want it misinterpreted for the sake of like shock value. Because yes, it does obviously draw attention to us because hashtags and the words we use draw attention to the internet. But the last thing you want is to misinterpret something because all it takes is just one really big account to just have a bone to pick with you, and then the hate mail begins.
Send all of it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Cody. Right before we talk about the next thing, I read about a guy who makes his entire living off conspiracy theories. He's a former TV producer, he produced TV movies, really popular, worked on a lot of popular things that we would recognize. Mm-hmm. And he makes an entire living off of it between YouTube, Patreon, and all these other things. Now, in a lot of ways, he's been shut down, and he has been named. I have the article. I thought I sent it to you earlier today, but I wanted to talk about it separately. I just thought it was interesting, so I thought I sent it to you. But his whole thing is these conspiracy theories, and he's like, well, and one of them is like the whole thing about anybody who got the death stab will be dead in 2 years. And I was laying in bed frustrated already reading this article that he agreed to sit down for an interview, which he was like, I knew it was going to be a hit piece. So I finally said, let's get it over with. And it's not. It's a very honest description. It didn't have to be a hit piece. The guy's an idiot. But as he was what I was reading it, David is dead asleep. And it's like, anybody who gets this is going to be dead within 2 years. And I was just like, thank God. I'm like, wow. Like, it just burst right out of my mouth. It's like, whole house is quiet. It was my instant reaction, and I thought you'd find that amusing. Dark, but honest at
least. It's true. People can make a very, very good living off of conspiracies and purposely.
That his wife describes him as a truth teller, and I'm like, you're stupid as shit. But his family, he's like, I don't think my mom has ever watched any of my videos. This is like a 50-something-year-old guy. This is not a 25-year-old hotshot out there doing things. This is a grown person doing this.
Yeah.
Goes, I believe them. And his whole thing about QAnon is he's like, I don't necessarily believe the theory, but in his mind the jury is still out on it. And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, I think maybe talk more in depth at a later time in an episode. But all of these conspiracy theories, if we wouldn't have social media, if we wouldn't have Facebook, more specific, these conspiracy theories would have stayed what we normally would say a conspiracy theory is. Very small, not many people. It's very fringe. But because of Facebook, it puts it in front of people and makes it a reality when it's not.
Right.
And so it's interesting technology.
The generation that said, oh, just because Peter Pan can fly doesn't mean you can fly. What you see on the TV isn't necessarily real. Blah, blah, blah.
And now they
all
believe it all.
dumbasses sat there and read Facebook and were like, oh, get your reverse mortgages and you can, bang your wife.
It started with those emails too, send this email to 10 people in your family, blah, blah, blah. Okay, everybody, this one.
Oh God.
I have no words for it. I thought it was fake. Wanda Sykes is filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. And basically the Tampa Bay Lightning, that's what it is. Tampa Bay Lightning won the hockey game. Me and my sports. They won the Stanley Cup. They won the whole thing, everybody. They
This
won
is
the game.
amazing.
They won the Stanley Cup. So they're champions. So you know
we should
what?
do Gays Explain Sports Badly. We should just do a soul.
I would just lose, except Olympics, everybody. So see, I know sports, but only I don't know. But okay, you would never think this is real. You would think this is fake.
Gross.
Coors
I
Light
think
has announced that they are going to do a limited edition beer made with actual ice hockey ice from the championship skating rink. They are going to make the first ever beer from championship ice. After the championship was over, they went in and scraped some ice up. I don't know how much, they didn't say, but probably a lot. And they're going to take it to their manufacturing facilities. And I was like, oh my God, that is nasty. That is so gross. Obviously, it's going to be clean. It's going to be whatever, because we're aside from the ice hockey thing, we're going to have to get to a point in time where we can like reuse our own like wastewater. Essentially, it can be done. It can be done safely. So they're going to be putting it through reverse osmosis, UV light, the whole process, and they're going to make a limited edition beer. Who knows how much it's going to cost, because it's not going to be a lot. But I was like, oh my God, that is gross at face value. Also, I just thought it was fake, because like
it's like an
what?
unnecessary. It's so I mean, I'm all about recycling, and I know that waste and everything can be sanitized, can be reused, which I actually completely support. Just this is a promotional thing and totally for attention and totally disgusting. Like, and I just know a straight person did this.
Matt,
like,
we're gonna
know it.
We brew our own beer and ciders, so maybe we're gonna have to make our own Comacast brewer cider out of something.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, we can't call it Coma beer because that would be a problem.
Well, it'll still have to be something themed from us, with some liquid of sorts. I don't know.
Put in
anybody, because we're gonna reuse. We have to reuse liquid. That's how we're gonna make it. Anyone can make their choices on what it is. I don't know.
It can be in a purple can, and which will stand out. Like, I like the idea of a purple can. What would we call it though?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go to you. You're the namer. You name everything.
I'm the namer. Well,
you're the namer.
The namer. I will say I do come up with some really interesting ideas that I swear to God you look at me like, why?
Like, what?
So we got to the point where what has us? What are we loving this week?
Wait.
Oh God.
You're missing out on the. We can't forget this, Matt. It's the first look at Sex and City Revival. There's nothing much else to say, but this is the first look. That's all it is. If you saw the article, it was trending on Twitter. This is all it is. There's no other information. I did. This is it.
Yeah.
It's just a photo.
The picture. I scrolled by it.
Doesn't it look like Sarah Jessica Parker, though, is like photoshopped in there? But anyway.
Yes, actually. Oh God, the more I look, the more I see. Yeah,
I mean, I doubt she is, because it is from their filming. But anyway, that's it. There's nothing else to. The first promo photo of Sex and the City is out. Okay, Matt. What are we loving? What are we going to say?
I'm going to skip the what are we loving part for myself and just tell you something really ridiculously inappropriate. So I told Bobby this, aka Lil Churro on Twitter. I said, funny trivia fact about Matt, because we all know I'm a total child. One thing that makes me laugh every time, because I cannot take it seriously, is the replacement of the word sex or any direction of it and replacing it with porking. Every time I hear it or it's said, I will start laughing, and I cannot take it seriously. So if I use it in a sentence, Matt porked Cody, I will start giggling like.
I feel like I've heard Matt say this before.
I hate it so much right now.
Guys, am I working with an 8-year-old? I mean, maybe it's a good thing you're not aging, right? You're not getting older. It's like Benjamin Button.
So I showed this to David. I showed my text message to David. He goes, I did not know that about you. And then, of course, I had another sentence to go along with it that was way more inappropriate that I will save for the Sunday Live. But I just thought it would be fun to share something completely inappropriate and lighthearted that it's one of those things that certain things make you laugh, that it's totally dumb, But something that when it's said, you're like, you know. And that is one of them. Despite I really don't eat pork, actually, because I'm mostly vegetarian, and still, like, I don't know if it's because straight people say really very hetero things and expect to be taken seriously. Um, and then I hear that I'm like, how do you get laid? Like, are are some women's standards that fucking low? Like, oh my god, what is this talk? Like, that's what soaks your girdle. Okay, wow,
Yeah.
we really need to raise the standards, guys.
So everybody just go onto
you
Twitter
know,
and just talk to
like
Matt
that's all
about
it takes for her to
porking.
be the mother of your little sausage links. Okay, you know.
Uh, when you do come visit, I'll make sure to have a pork meal. Everything pork.
Well, if you're gonna just,
Then you'll have meat sweats.
I almost.
Yeah,
I'm telling
he
you, the pork
wanted
sweats are the worst things ever.
Matt was going to make an inappropriate joke.
Do you know what
I
I
did
almost?
cut him
I'm
off.
just gonna go ahead and say it. I was gonna say you could edit it out, but you can't. So here
I
we are.
can't. This is live.
It's not as bad as a candy cane thing because that was. I was gonna say, well, we're gonna have a pork meal. Where are you gonna just be blindfolded like a spit pig roast when we get there? When I get there, I mean, with the apple in your mouth, so
we
healthy.
we do have a new fire pit. I'm just saying. So I will. I will say something I'm loving this week,
So,
and
I'm
that
just
is
picturing being greeted and Justin be like, "Well, Cody's in the back. Come, welcome to our home," and you're back there like hogtied with an apple in your mouth, sitting over the fire pit in a jock or something.
oh my gosh.
Can you just picture it? 'Cause I sure can.
Matt, yes.
Cody's like, "Why? How did this happen to me?"
I did lead you into it. So something that I'm loving this week is, and when we say this, everyone like tweet at us what you're loving because we like to know
Yeah,
like some
actually,
things, and we can share what you're enjoying and things because it could be books, it can be podcasts, movies,
right, because
TV
I do
shows.
listen for other things. I got a new podcast from a mutual the other day that we talk on Snap, and he showed me the podcast he was listening to, and it was actually about a psychologist that leads it, and he just didn't know that I have a psych background, and then I totally found it fascinating. And it was like you told me about that show. You and Chris Pettis talked to me about that show Upload. I loved it. I watched the whole season. Totally loved it. So yeah, tweet at us. Tell us what you like. We want to talk about it. Or get in
So
your
mine this week is also this week, but it is This Week in Tech. It is a tech podcast. So you just search This Week in Tech and it'll come up. I talked about previously a few weeks ago about a podcast called Mac Break Weekly. It's from the same people, basically, except This Week in Tech talks about everything technology. So it could be your smartwatch, Apple, Android, Microsoft, anything that's happening in the tech world. They talk about it. It's about 2 hours long. They have video versions on YouTube, and then they have the audio versions on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. And it's a really interesting thing. I like it. It keeps you up to date. I love technology, so it keeps you up to date on the latest technology rumors, anything that's happening. They discuss it in depth. Some people get beta testing of different things. And so it's just like a fun thing to look forward to if you love technology. So that's This Week in Tech, video versions on YouTube and on anywhere you get podcasts. And crazy, 2 hours, but they do that. And also Mac Break Weekly is a great one. Also, I previously had mentioned Generations on HBO. That's that like coming of age, young teenager show that's like really good and has a lot of like LGBT anthems and inside of it and storylines. It is back. It came back a few weeks ago. We just now are finally catching up to the back half of the season that they released. So good, so funny. I wish I would have pulled the scene, but basically, there's this one guy, and he's in love with this other guy. They're friends. Now, the one guy, his parents are very conservative, religious. They actually had their youth pastor come over and was going to speak to him. At the time, he said, "Oh, I actually have a boyfriend." He didn't, but his sister and friends prayed along. And then he got his other friend, who's gay, to play along too. So at one point, his mom comes to pick him up from a party, and they decide that they're going to kiss. And they go on kissing for like 15 or 20, 30 seconds. And the mom is looking, and it's just so funny. It's just a funny show. Also, it's so realistic. Like, we were talking about, like, that's the most realistic kiss. Like, sometimes in movies, it's kind of like, or TV shows, it's like, okay.
You're clearly not. It's
clearly
clearly
acting.
terrible. Or
Wow,
the chemistry is really bad.
The chemistry is so good. There's a lot of tongue involved. It's just a really fun movie. It's a funny movie. It's really good. It has really good themes to it that are that are worth watching. So that's Generations, HBO Max. Real quick before we go, everybody, again, Matt, he's not going to do it, but get his book. Everybody,
I
it's
feel
on,
well. I want to
it's
be
on
excited
Amazon.
about it, but at the same time, I don't want to annoy people because I don't want people to mute and block me for it. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
It's on Amazon. If you've read it, go give him a review. It's really reasonably priced. Also, it's $0 there if you have Kindle Unlimited,
Yeah,
and that's
I
great
do.
because
If
you
you're
don't waste
wondering,
paper.
I do get paid for that, so please don't hesitate to read it there. I had to choose to share it through the Kindle Direct app for the unlimited to allow it to be there. I do get paid for it per page as you read it. I get paid for it. So please, if that's where I want people to read it where they want to read it. If you're buying it or doing it for support, getting it
So
there is perfectly fine.
So I need to get the Kindle Unlimited as well and just go through it.
Yeah, you can read it there too.
Yeah, everybody, get your books. Matt actually got the books. He sent me a photo.
Yes, I finally have my own.
Books.
I have a stack of my own. I do have one copy pulled out. It's sitting over here on a bookshelf, and that's going to be mine. That is my copy, my very own. I got to touch it, and it was just flipping through it and kind of seeing my own words printed on paper was. I've written a lot of academic papers. I've written some really good academic papers, but being able to write something that was just totally made up in my head and just do something for fun was super cool. So if you've ever wanted to write a book and you think I can't, you can. It took me a while, and it does take. There are days when you're just like, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? But I'm almost 13,000 words into the sequel. And what's really weird, another mutual finished my book the other night, and he was tweeting about it, how he'd finished it, and how he loved it. And he texted me and said, he's like, I liked it so much. He's like, I'm probably going to reread it in a few weeks. And he was talking about the characters and seeing somebody else talk about characters that you created. It was a really cool feeling. It just was like, you know what? If not another copy ever sold, I'm good because I made somebody else happy in the way that I feel when I read books. So that was super great. I was just...
Well, I can't wait for the movie version of it. But
he told me he had some ideas for who to play the two of the male leads for the Netflix movie or the Netflix series. So, yeah. Well,
but everybody, with that, we've come to the end of our show. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you've been watching all this time, thank you. If you've been listening or watching the replay, thank you. Again, we do this every Friday at 5:00. And so we hope you've enjoyed your time. And again, go get your books, everybody.
Yes.
But
and thank
we'll
you
see
for 2
you
years
soon.
on Twitter, by the way.
Oh,
we hit 2 years on Twitter the other day.
Look at that.
Now,
We're so old.
ComaCast Twitter premiered 6 months before ComaCast
Wow.
audio did. Yeah, we set it up in July.
We did plan a long time.
Well, we were really slow, tired, and had a lot of other things going on. And we thought we got time, and then a pandemic hit 6 months later. Fantastic.
Also, time, as we talked about, just it's already July. It just goes by.
Yeah.
But we hope all of y'all have a great Friday. I'm gonna go get a burrito. Keith says congrats. Yay. Yeah, I'm gonna go get a burrito. Watch Generations. Enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat too. It's Sloppy Joe night.
Ooh, yay. But
Yeah.
bye everybody. We'll see you